Welcome to the Sarah Stratt Show. This is a podcast about rebuilding, ambition, mindset, creativity, relationships, success, and figuring life out in real time. I'm your host and friend, Sarah Stratt, and here we believe that you do not need to have everything perfectly figured out to start creating the life you want. So whether you're rebuilding, reinventing yourself, chasing after big dreams, or just trying to get unstuck, you are in the right place. I hope this podcast feels like a conversation with a friend as we all figure it out together. Now let's dive into today's episode. Ready or not? Hi, and welcome back to the Sarah Stratt Show. I'm your host, Sarah Stratt. In today's episode, there is actually no video except for one small insert that you will see momentarily. And the reason for that is actually what this entire podcast is about, which is showing up for yourself even when your brain is telling you not to. And in my case, it is my ADHD brain that is telling me not to do the things that I love to do. And that, to somebody who is maybe not so neurospicy, can sound like an insane statement, because why would you not do things that you're excited and passionate about? Like, you know you'd enjoy it, you know it would be good for you, but you can't seem to start. And then the guilt cycle and the shame cycle kick in, and suddenly months are going by, and your favorite hobby or your passion project are just slipping by in time as months go by, and sometimes even years, which I'll get into a little bit momentarily. And then one day you find yourself asking, why didn't I do that thing that I would have loved to do? Well, you don't have to stop yourself from doing those things anymore. And that is why I am recording this podcast today, sans video, because quite frankly, this is the only way that I could show up for myself today. And I'll insert a clip right here. You can see I have a towel on my head, no makeup on, and we're recording. All right, so let's dive into why I have a towel on my head and we're recording with no video. A little backstory here is super important. So my day looked something like this. And my day, by today, I mean my day actually started on Sunday. It's currently Wednesday. Whatever do you mean, Sarah? Well, let me explain. On Sunday, I began to feel ADHD overwhelm and burnout, and I'm still learning what ADHD diagnosis looks for me and how that works. And I had thought my entire life that was just normal, and everybody feels like that, and everybody gets severely overwhelmed and freezes and can't finish projects and then feels intense guilt and shame about that loop. It's not normal. I mean, it's normal for people who have ADHD or are neurospicy in certain different ways, and it's definitely normal for me, but I spent my entire adult life masking to such an extent that now that I am slowly unmasking more and more and more, I am able to pick up on it and assess, oh, okay, I'm feeling like that because I am getting overstimulated, I am getting overwhelmed, and my brain is getting burnt out on these loops of circular thinking that I'm putting myself through. Not intentionally putting myself through, but my brain just works like that. And that's okay. Because in lots of other ways, my brain having that power is a superpower. It's so incredible. I can come up with an idea and create something in a few minutes and be super passionate about it and really inspire myself and others to work on their dreams. And that's how I've lived my life. And it's served me so well because I wouldn't have experienced all the incredible things I have experienced in my life if it wasn't that my brain worked the way it does. So despite me being super grateful that my brain works this way, it's also super frustrating because there are things I want to get done that I can't. So let's circle back to Sunday. I started to feel this intense overwhelm and burnout coming up on Sunday, and I was looking at my partner and I was saying, oh my goodness, I need to have like 2 days where I don't turn my phone on at all this week because there's so many things in the calendar, and there's this that we have to do, and there's this that I have to do, and I have to organize this event, and I need to schedule this content, and I need to film a podcast, and I need to become a expert ballerina, and I need to go back to the stunt gym, and I need to do this, and I need my brain, my attention, this. Everything needs my attention, and everything is equally as important as the last thing. Pause. Take a deep breath. I know that some of you who are listening to this understand that feeling and how easy it is to just lock yourself up and freeze in that moment and not do anything. And then be eaten alive by the guilt and shame that comes with not accomplishing any of the things you wanted to accomplish. But it's also super important to balance how we are going to show up for ourselves and how we're still going to accomplish those things. And so that is why my Wednesday morning actually started on Sunday. Because on Sunday, I was already thinking about Wednesday. I was already thinking about Tuesday. I was already thinking that if I didn't give myself a break and if I didn't show up for myself in the ways that I knew my body and mind needed, then I would have this burnout become extremely overwhelming. And so that Sunday, Sarah was already living in the future, thinking about everything that needed to get done on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and I was already exhausted. Poor future Sarah was already exhausted on Sunday from all of the events and all of the things and all of the planning and all of the tasks and ideas and work that I needed to get done. And this is an important part of that. On Sunday morning, I was able to go back to ballet for the first time in about 2.5 months. Stay with me here while I do a little bit of backstory about ballet. So, when I was a kid, I loved ballet. I wanted to be a ballerina. I went to ballet classes. My mom put me in them when I was a little girl. And I stopped doing ballet sometime in my early teens. And the last time I really remember doing ballet was actually when I was 12 years old at my middle school. And I did a ballet performance in front of my entire middle school for Remembrance Day with one other girl. Me and her designed an entire routine and we performed it to Imagine All the People was the song by John Lennon, of course. And I was super, super nerdy and imaginative and creative and loved books. And I was a huge nerd my whole life until about my teenage years when I went into high school and I kind of changed my personality because I thought I had to be different than I was. And that's a whole podcast episode for another day. However, now that I know that I have ADHD, I do think that that was part of the reason that those things happened. And something that I really learned as I went into my later 20s and my early 30s was the confidence to just be myself and do exactly what I wanted to do without worrying about what people thought or if they were going to judge me. And in my 30s, I've become even more like that. I've leaned really into just, I love this. I'm going to do this thing. And that led me to, being able to become a Twitch streamer and go cosplay at fan expos and Comic Cons and lean heavily into acting and become a voice actor and do all of these amazing things. And there are some regrets with, had I not, changed who I was to match people around me in high school and in my early 20s, then, perhaps I could have continued being who I really was inside and my life could have been different. But I don't ever live in regret. So I think everything happened for a reason and it's led me to where I am today. But I digress. That was a super, super hop from one thought pattern to another. But maybe you can relate to that too. So back to ballet. My entire life, I wanted to continue doing ballet. And as I mentioned, I changed kind of, who I was and tried to fit in a lot in high school. I was bullied kind of badly in middle school, and some of those comments and words really stuck with me. And in high school, there was some of that as well too. And I just didn't surround myself with the best people. And there were a lot of decisions in retrospect that, could have come out differently. But I don't want to go into that entire thing today. Maybe that's another story for another episode. However, with ballet, I spent my whole adult life wanting to do ballet and holding myself back from it. and not allowing myself to do this thing that I knew I would love so much. I love opera music. I love classical music. I love the piano and the violin. I love dancing. I love the way I feel when I'm moving my body elegantly. And I love the rigid structure of the dance. I love that. And I just never allowed myself to lean fully into that side of myself. So this year, I made a promise to myself that I was going to go to ballet and I was going to give it my best shot and I was going to try it and really see how I felt. And I'm getting emotional even talking about this right now because I went to the very first class and I was like, wow, I wish I had been doing this forever, but thank God I'm doing it now for myself. Okay, deep breaths because I did get a little bit emotional there and almost start to cry. But thank God that I started doing something like that for myself because it filled me with this joy and this sense of accomplishment and this different level of confidence where I was like I can do that. You know, I can learn this, I can focus on this. However, when ADHD kicks in, I often have what I used to call, before I knew I had ADHD, I used to call it black and white thinking. And I would say, and when I was trying to explain to, a partner or a friend, like how my brain worked, I would say, it's either, like there's no gray area for me. Like if you lie to me, my brain says you are a liar. Like I cannot, it's very difficult for me to come back from damage like that because my brain looks for all the patterns where they might have lied before or they might lie again or they might be dishonest in some other way. And so my conscious and moral compass is really strong for those types of things. And I have this kind of justice seeking mentality. And so it's either, which I've learned now is called all or nothing thinking. So you're either you're all in, you love me or you hate me. You know what I mean? There's no like in between for my brain, which not everybody's brain works like that. And there definitely are gray areas, and the all or nothing thinking is not a healthy pattern to have, but it's good to be able to recognize it because now I can look at something and go, okay, that is all or nothing thinking. That is, black and white thinking. There is an allowance for something in the middle to happen, like I'm not going to be a prima ballerina. That doesn't mean that I can't do ballet as a hobby, as an exercise, as something that makes me feel joy when I go to it. And my brain didn't work like that before. It still doesn't. Sometimes if I miss a class, which is what I'm going to get to right now, my brain goes, well, that's done. We can't do that anymore ever again. All or nothing. And so what happened was in April, I did 3 classes in a row in preparation to go away. We went to my partner's son's graduation. It was a beautiful family time. And I did 3 classes in a row because I knew I wouldn't be able to go for a week. And up until then, from January through to mid April, I was going consistently every week. I was enjoying myself. I felt so good about myself. It was beautiful. I was listening to music on the drive there and music on the way home. I was singing in the car. I was listening to classical renditions of, Beauty and the Beast and Frozen and Jurassic Park and Star Wars. And, it was just, I felt so good. And like my nerdy little self plus this classical inner ballerina was just able to flourish. And we went away and I came back and life caught up with me. And I wasn't able to get myself to go back to ballet until this Sunday. And for context, if you're listening to this, it is now July 15th. So that is 2 months, almost 3 months, so 2.5 months where I wasn't able to get myself to go back there. And not for lack of thinking about it constantly and beating myself up constantly and living in a cycle of guilt and shame where I'm like, oh, I really should have gone today, and oh, I booked the class and then I canceled the class and then I booked the class again and then I canceled the class again. And just this really difficult start stop ADHD freeze where my executive kind of dysfunction was like, okay, you've got to get back to ballet class. You love ballet class. It's going to make you feel amazing to get in there. You just have to go. And then my ADHD freeze would be like, oh, I can't do it. We've been away for too long. You can't do it anymore. There's no point of going. It's been too long. And then months pass by, 2.5 months. And so finally, leading up to Sunday, I told my partner, I was like, I've got to go. I've got to go to ballet. So I booked it and I just went. And I felt great. It was a little bit challenging because I went to an intermediate class, which I am not an intermediate ballerina. I'm more beginner / intermediate. So I'm still learning. I'm still learning the techniques. I'm still learning all the verbiage. I'm learning the language. And the class was a little bit too fast paced for me, but I left feeling great. And there was a live pianist playing for us during that class. It was beautiful. It was truly beautiful. And so I left feeling amazing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to book in for Wednesday because that's the next day I can go. And as I mentioned before, my Wednesday started on Sunday, and my brain was over processing every single event that I had on my calendar, every single person I had to see, every single plan I had to make, every single thing I had to arrange, every single piece of content I had planned to film, every podcast episode. I was like, oh, I need to work on that. And I booked in all this time for myself in my calendar, and I planned out my week, and I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then Sunday, I felt so overwhelmed, and I was struggling to find a way for me to get through the week at all. And I thought, okay, the best thing for me to do for myself is to have 2 days where I just turn off my phone. I don't talk to anybody at all, and I just relax. I relax and do things that feel good for myself. And I, maybe just go off the grid. And this is the other side of, if you're staying with me through this, it is the other side of the extreme all or nothing. Because my brain went, oh, there's too much going on, there's too much happening. I can't, it's overwhelming. How am I going to fix this? I know what I'll do. I will turn off my phone and completely not talk to anybody ever. It's the other far drastic side of all or nothing thinking. And my response to being overwhelmed was, I'll just not do anything at all for 2 days, completely off the grid. And I'm laughing because it really is an extreme way of thinking, trying to find balance when you're working on a project, but then feeling like you're so overwhelmed that you just need to throw your phone into the ocean. Really, it doesn't benefit you to throw your phone away. We really need those phones for a lot of things. Like today, I was like, oh, okay, I've got to use my phone for parking, and I'm going to turn off my phone right after. And so I turned off my phone before I went into ballet, and then I turned it right back on when I left ballet because I needed to use it to pay to tap for something that I was buying, a protein shake on the way home. And then while I was driving, I realized that it's not a matter of needing to turn off my phone, although I do love that concept. And I will talk about that in another episode because having a break from your phone, but like a healthy break, not the break I was trying to give myself, because this was a drastic means to an end, was to delete my entire week of calendars and events and planning and just not talk to anybody. It was the extreme version of it. But having like a healthy night off where maybe you get home from work at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and you turn your phone off until the next morning can feel amazing, right? But we're not shirking all of our responsibilities to do that. So I realized when I was driving home from ballet that I could continue to have some things that I do today and maybe just put my phone on do not disturb, and maybe as a reward for when I finish recording the podcast, I can go on my phone and I can play a game or I can message a friend, or maybe I don't even need to do that and I could just read a book, but I'll see how I feel after I finish something that I really want to get done. And so when I went back to ballet today, this is embarrassing to admit, but yesterday and Monday, I was so trapped in that ADHD loop. And I think it's just important to be so real with you because we're all in this together. And if you can benefit with some self-reflection from me sharing my experience, then all the power to you because hopefully it helps. I think that it's better to kind of analyze how we are working in our brains and our emotional reaction and our thought processes and challenge those by maybe hearing somebody else's experience. But embarrassing to admit, on Monday and Tuesday, I canceled my appointment for ballet, canceled my class, and then rebooked it, and then canceled my class, and then rebooked it. A total of 3 times. 3 times between Monday and Tuesday night, as late as like 10 p.m. last night. I actually canceled and then rebooked the class. And to normal people, they might be like, what is going on with her? But to my brain, it's like, okay, I really want to do this thing. I really want to go to ballet. I know it will feel so good. I will love it. It will feel incredible, but I can't do it. And it's hard to explain that part to people because they're like, why can't you do something that you know feels so good, that you're going to love doing, a passion or a hobby that you enjoy doing? It's something good for yourself. Why are you thinking it to death? Just go, right? But our brain isn't that easy. It's not that simple. So I digress. Finally, I booked it again at 10 p.m. on Tuesday. And this morning I woke up and what did my brain do? It went, do you really want to go? Do you think it'll be good? Oh, it's so far away. Oh, the traffic is bad. Oh, look at how difficult it is to get there. Oh my goodness. I moved houses recently and now my class that I used to go to it's a half an hour drive instead of a 12-minute drive. Like that's so inconvenient. And my brain is doing all these million reasons why. I even took a screenshot of the Google Maps that said how far it was away and texted it to my partner and was like, look how far away it is. That's so inconvenient. It was way closer before. And to which they just replied, oh yeah, it's a bit far, you know. But in reality, like, is 30 minutes very far to drive for something that's going to make you feel amazing? Well, we'll find out. So, what did Sarah do? Sarah threw on her ballet outfit and she put her hair in a bun and she grabbed her gym bag and she got in the car and she drove to ballet. And to make it even better, I got into downtown Vancouver and realized that they have roped off the so many streets. So many streets. My parking that I normally park at isn't available. The street is closed. It's FIFA. FIFA is happening in Vancouver right now, and my brain forgot about that part. So I got into downtown Vancouver and I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna have a great time. I'm 15 minutes early. It's gonna be perfect. And then bam, streets are closed. Bam. I'm like, oh no. Oh, this is worse. Oh, I really shouldn't have come. Oh, I could just cancel right now. I could just turn around. I could just drive home. I could just go back home. I could just forget this. I could just quit ballet forever. I don't need to do ballet. My brain does all of those mental gymnastics. It's exhausting, by the way. If you have ADHD or you're an overthinker or you're a bit neurospicy, let me know in the comments or like comment below or something like that. Let me know if you do those mental gymnastics all the time because it is exhausting and I feel for you because it is constant. It is a constant loop. However, thank goodness I decided to go because I found some parking. Yes, it was extortionate. I paid almost $15 for 90 minutes of parking in Vancouver during FIFA, which I felt a bit sick doing that, but I had already made it that far, so my brain was like, you should just go. And thank goodness I did, because when I went into the class, I remembered how amazing her classes are. I felt great. I felt inspired. The music was beautiful. People were happy. It was really hot in there. I got a great workout and I remembered so much of the routine and the repertoire of ballet from her classes. And I just remembered how much I love it and how excited I am to go back. And it was a great feeling. It was even a better feeling than on Sunday when I first went back. Because when I went back on Sunday, I went to, there's two places I go to, and I went to this other place that I hadn't gone to as much, but it's beautiful as well. They have live pianists. It's amazing. But I went to the intermediate class and I did feel a bit like I was flailing around and I, felt like people were looking at me, and which wasn't true. Everybody's so focused on themselves. I say that all the time. Nobody cares what you're wearing. Nobody cares what you're doing. They may glance at you once and be like, oh, that's a weird outfit. But in reality, they care more about what they look like. Everybody does. Everybody is so fixated on their own thoughts, their own emotions. So girl or guys or everybody, just go do whatever you feel like doing because nobody cares as much as you care. I promise you that. However, so this class, I felt incredible and I was able to, push myself and really stretch and really, lean into the turnout, and I felt incredible. And when I left, I got in my car and I was like, that is what I am passionate about. I was like, I love doing that. And I want to make sure that I remember that moment So I thought, I'm going to make my podcast about this today so that I can share this feeling with everybody so that you can all experience what I experienced when I allowed myself to show up for myself by going to that class, by doing the very, very hard thing that every fiber of my brain was fighting me on. Every fiber of my brain fought me on it since Sunday. For 3 days, it fought me on going, and it was giving me excuses and reasons and justifications and all or nothing thinking and executive dysfunction and freezing me in place and giving me a million reasons why I shouldn't go and couldn't go and can't do that. And then I went and I felt incredible when I got in the car and I drove home. And I then proceeded to try to take things easier on myself and listen to my own advice and go, okay, how can I relieve this mental load of stress that I have today after a beautiful class and show up for myself even more throughout the day and not allow myself to have the pressure that I've been putting on myself so much, and to remove the guilt and the shame and the overthinking and the worries and the fears and the debilitating thought process that comes with hyper analyzing every single move you make. And how can I show up for myself even more today? And so I decided I will go home. I will have an amazing everything shower, and then I will put on the comfiest outfit that I have and the thing that makes me feel, super comfortable and relaxed. And then I will have a coffee and a protein shake, and I will sit down and I will record my podcast and share these feelings with everybody. And I will do all of that without video because I feel like I know myself really well. And if I went on video, I would have been even more pressured and feeling like I had to perform a certain way for the video. And I don't think it would have come out the way that it is right now because I showed up for myself in the way that I needed today. And the way that I needed today was to prioritize my self care, prioritize my self love, accept my brain for how it works, and congratulate myself for the huge wins that I have had leading up to this moment where I'm recording this podcast for you right now. And I want you to take this time right now to think about the things that you have accomplished in the last day, in the last week, in the last month, in the last year. And instead of just berating yourself with guilt and shame, like we all do, and especially if you have ADHD, you will completely understand where I'm coming from. That it is a constant mental jungle of noise that is just full of self doubt and fear. And I want you to think about the things that you've done and accomplished and just sit in that gratitude for those times that you've showed up for yourself, those wins that you've had, those things where you have done exactly what I did for myself today, which was say, Sarah, what does Sarah need today? Sarah needs time alone. My partner actually went to work today at his office. So, because he was supposed to work from home today, and I actually told him the night before, hey, you know what I actually really need for myself right now is some alone time in the house. And he was like, I would love to give you whatever you need. So I will go into the office today. And I appreciate him so much. He's amazing. And what else does Sarah need? She needs to show up for herself by going to ballet because I know that she will love that. And I did. I loved it. I loved it so much. And then on the drive home, what else does Sarah need today? I need to have an everything shower. I need to, put the lotion all over, and I need to wash my hair and give myself a little blowout later and, relax on the couch and maybe play a game. And I need to show up for myself by filming the podcast, but I can't show up for myself in the way of making a video of it. So I need to show up for myself in a way that feels right for me right now, which is just audio. And then congratulate yourself for those wins. There are so many times where the guilt and the shame of not doing something overrides how much pride and joy you should have in accomplishing the things that you did accomplish, even if they're little things. And a lot of times they can be big things, and we devalue that so much. It's time to stop devaluing all of the good that you're doing with allowing that guilt and shame to go unrecognized and not calling it out for what it is. And when you see yourself and hear yourself talking to yourself like that, you can pause for a second. And it's going to be really hard. And I'm not even going to be able to do it all the time because it feels impossible, honestly. But when we can, like I did for myself today, just pause and say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay if I rearrange what I need to do so that I can still show up for myself and I can feel proud of what I've created today. I can feel proud of what I've done today. I can feel proud of myself for going to ballet. I can feel proud of myself for enjoying that time alone that I knew my heart and soul needed. I can feel proud of myself for creating a podcast that shares my heart with all of you, and that I can feel excited and self love bubbling up because I showed up for myself. And that honors how I love myself and allows myself to fill my cup first so that I can give that love to others and give that love to my family and my friends or my community, like all of you. There are a lot of misunderstandings about how ADHD creates guilt, and it could be something as small as, not texting people back. It could be something as big as leaving projects unfinished. It can be something like I just explained for avoiding hobbies that you truly love to do. And a lot of people who don't have ADHD, who aren't neurospicy, whose brains don't work like this, can often look at that behavior as though it's laziness. Oh, well, surely you would finish the project if you really cared. If you really loved it, you would finish it. It'd be done by now. Well, yes, I would love to have finished the project, but unfortunately, my brain is eating itself alive, telling me I'm not good enough and I'm an everlasting failure. And that toxic, unhealthy ADHD loop is preventing myself from doing it even more. And this is the lie that ADHD is telling us. It's telling us I missed too many classes already. It's been 2.5 months. I can't do it now. I'll never be able to get back into it. I ruined my progress. I can't go. And oh, everybody's going to judge me. What's the point? What's the point of going if it's been so long? I truly, honestly, I'm going to be so real with you guys. I never understood why my brain thought like that, but it did. Even when I was in my early 20s, if I missed a day at the gym, I wouldn't go again. I would think, what's the point of going? I've already missed it. Like I would create these routines and goals and schedules in my head. And if I missed it, I would go do it for, 3 weeks or 4 months or whatever. And then when I missed it, my brain would convince me that I failed because I paused. Whereas a non neurospicy brain might go, hey, I'm allowed to pause. Pausing is healthy sometimes. And now that I've learned and been diagnosed and understand that this is how my brain works, I can catch myself thinking, "Oh, okay. Taking a break isn't failing, and I can go back to it and I can love something." And so that part of my brain today that wanted to stay home, that part of my brain that really honestly just ate itself alive for 3 days and canceled the class and rebooked the class and canceled the class and rebooked the class and canceled the class and rebooked the class. It really wanted me to stay home. It really wanted me to fail. It wanted me to fail. And I almost didn't go, up to the point that I was almost about to park my car. And my brain was like, oh, you could just drive home right now. There's no parking. FIFA's happening. How could you be so stupid to forget that FIFA's happening here right now? And instead I was like, nope, we're going. And I showed up for myself and I felt incredible. I felt amazing. And I am still 2 hours later at home recording this podcast right now, feeling that great feeling of joy and accomplishment that comes with accomplishing something that you wanted to do, that you knew that you would be great at. And so for you, it might not be ballet. It might be something as simple as, running the dishwasher, tidying your room, cleaning your house, booking a hair appointment, going to the doctor, writing a book, finishing a project, starting something and sticking to it. Maybe you want to learn a new language. Whatever it is, the confidence doesn't come before action. That is one of the biggest takeaways that I want you to remember, is that most people think, I'll do it when I feel motivated. Or, oh, I had motivation for a split second, I better do it right now. Oh, I didn't do it, it's too late. Motivation's gone. It's over. It's the confidence comes after you did it, after you showed up for yourself. It's not going to bring you there. Your confidence isn't going to bring you into the action. It's your action that's going to give you confidence and feed that confidence and that self-love and that acceptance that you have in yourself and that knowing power that you are strong and you are capable and you are magic. You are able to show up for yourself. And that is true magic, is knowing boundaries, knowing if something is hurting you or bothering you, or if you're hurting yourself or upsetting yourself with your thought process, allowing yourself to even have a strong boundary against that. That is confidence, and it is going to grow every single time that you keep a promise to yourself. It's going to show up every single time. That confidence is going to grow the more that you keep showing up for yourself. And showing up for yourself doesn't mean that you're being perfect. It doesn't mean that you're never missing a day ever. It doesn't mean that you always feel motivated. It means that you try again. It means that you fail forward. It means that you begin again. If you paused, you can keep going. You can go again. You can choose yourself. Showing up for yourself means choosing yourself. It means keeping promises to yourself. That is true centered self-love, is giving yourself another chance. You deserve another chance. You deserve another chance at love. You deserve another chance at life. Your past doesn't define you. Your failed relationship doesn't define you. Your failed career doesn't define you. That book that bombed doesn't define you. You missing 2 months of ballet classes doesn't define you. All of those things don't define you. You deserve another chance. You can be whoever it is that you feel deep in your heart that you want to be. And that inner critic who is trying to cut you down has no business being here. Has no business being here. Self-acceptance isn't just saying, oh, this is who I am. I guess I'm a failure. No, it's saying, this is where I'm at today. This is how I can show up for myself. This I can't handle today. And that's okay. That is okay. I can accept myself while still wanting to grow. I can pause for a week and still want to grow. Those two things can coexist. Those two moments where you are like, I can't do this today. Oh, everybody's going to be upset that there's no video to go with the podcast. No, it's okay if that's what I need today. It's okay if that's how I show up for my community today. It's okay if that's how I show up for myself today, because I can accept myself while still wanting to grow, while still wanting to work on projects, while still wanting to create and inspire myself. And I think it's important to touch on letting go of that shame, replacing shame with compassion. So instead of saying, oh, I've wasted months, I used to say that all the time. I was in a 7-year relationship and I said to myself, like on repeat, oh, what a waste of time. I wasted so many years with him. And then I was in another relationship that was 4 years long and I knew it wasn't going anywhere and I wasted time. Oh, what a waste of time. No, it's not a waste of time. Those relationships or those scenarios served us at that time. And instead of looking at it as wasted time, you could say, I wasn't ready then. But now I'm ready to show up for myself in the way that I need it. And now I'm ready for, in the relationship example, I am now ready for the relationship that I deserve and that I need. And I'm choosing myself and I'm showing up for myself and I'm in a mentally healthy place and I'm emotionally stable and I know what I want and I value myself and my integrity and my standards more than I did then. I didn't know what I wanted then. And I didn't realize that I could put myself first. and I kept putting other people first. And that's not wasted time. That's learning that I wasn't ready, but I am ready now. And I didn't fail, but I'm beginning again. And beginning again is a beautiful, beautiful thing, especially when you begin again, because it's to show up for yourself and for your future, for future Sarah, for future you. When you're showing up for who you truly are meant to be, you are going to find all of the right people, all of the right places, all of the right things are going to fall into alignment because you are choosing yourself and you're showing up for yourself and you're healing yourself and you're working on yourself and you're letting go of shame and guilt and you're allowing yourself to say, hey, I wasn't ready, but I'm beginning again. And if that's with something huge or if it's with something smaller, like ballet, I am beginning again. And that is more than okay. It's great. On a closing note, I just want you to think about what one small promise you can keep for yourself this week looks like for you. And if you feel comfortable sharing it, please do. If you don't, that's fine, but write it down. Write down one small promise that you can keep to yourself. Don't overdo it. Don't go into overkill. Don't decide that you're going to promise yourself 5 million things and do the all or nothing thinking again, where you're like, oh, okay, I'm so inspired. I'm going to go and write, 50 goals that I need to accomplish. And then when you can't accomplish them all because you're not a robot who can do everything all the time and be everything for everybody at all the time, and then you're mad at yourself. That's not what we're doing. Just one small promise. Like I showed up for myself by going to ballet this week. I showed up for myself by recording the podcast, even though I didn't feel like I could be on video. And I think that those two things are wonderful. And it allowed myself to continue showing up for myself, continue creating, and keep consistency in my life that makes me feel good and healthy and happy and strong. Sometimes the most courageous step that we can take isn't transforming our whole life. It's accepting where we are. It's understanding that we can grow. And it is walking through the door. It is walking through the door of choice, of choosing that new way of thinking, that new pattern, that new mindset. It is allowing yourself to take that step and opening the door and actually walking through it. And that could be your follow through. Just step up and stand up for yourself and walk through that door. All right. Before I get even more emotional, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself by listening to this podcast episode today. Thank you for supporting me and helping me grow a community where I'm able to share how I'm growing and working on myself, and that we're able to grow and do this together. We also recently rejuvenated and restarted our Wealthy Optimists Facebook group. So I will link that in the description below. You are more than welcome and invited to join that community. I would absolutely love to have you there. And I will see you in the next episode 2 weeks from today. Go out there and shine with self-acceptance and confidence. I love you. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to The Sarah Strat Show. If today's episode resonated with you in any way, I'd really appreciate it if you took a moment to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with someone who might need to hear it too. It genuinely helps support the show and allows our community to grow. You can also find more information, updates, and resources at sarahstrat.com, and join me across all social platforms at Sarah Strat to continue the conversation and follow the journey. And if you're also rebuilding, reinventing yourself, healing, chasing a big dream, or just trying to figure life out one step at a time, I hope this podcast reminds you that you're not alone in that. Thank you for being here, and thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next episode of The Sarah Strat Show. Until then, keep going, keep growing, and remember, you do not need to have everything figured out to begin. You can start whether you're ready or not.